Welcome. Tonight, there is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to fix, no one you need to convince. For the next few moments, allow yourself to simply be here. Take a slow breath in and gently let it go. Perhaps you clicked on this video because something inside you feels tired. Not physically tired, but soul tired. The kind of tiredness that comes from carrying invisible weights for years. Weights that no one else can see. Weights that have become so familiar that you no longer notice you're carrying them. Most people assume that peace is something we will find someday, after the problems are solved, after the children settle down, after the finances improve, after life finally becomes easier. But Buddhist wisdom offers a different perspective. It suggests that peace is not something waiting for us in the future. Peace is what remains when we stop carrying what was never ours to carry. Many of us spend decades collecting burdens, old arguments, old regrets, old identities, old fears, old expectations. And without realizing it, these burdens quietly shape our days. They drain our energy, steal our joy, and prevent us from fully inhabiting the only place where life actually exists. The present moment. The Buddha often taught that suffering is not always caused by what happens to us. More often, suffering comes from how tightly we hold on to what has happened. Tonight, we will explore 7 things that many people continue carrying long after they have stopped serving any purpose. These are not mistakes. They are not character flaws. They are simply old survival mechanisms, habits of the mind, protective patterns that once helped us navigate life. But every season has its purpose. And there comes a time when the leaves must fall. A time when what once protected us begins to weigh us down. So as you listen, don't judge yourself. Don't criticize yourself. Simply observe. Notice which of these burdens feels familiar. Notice where your heart gently whispers, "Yes, I've been carrying that." And perhaps, before this night ends, you may discover that letting go is much lighter than holding on. Let us begin. The first thing to release is the need to always be right. Many people spend their entire lives collecting wisdom, years of experience, lessons learned through hardship, mistakes survived, challenges overcome. Naturally, they hope this wisdom will be valued, respected, passed down. But have you ever noticed what happens when someone ignores your advice? Maybe it's your son, your daughter, a younger co-worker, a friend. You offer guidance that seems obvious to you, yet they choose another path. Suddenly, something uncomfortable appears inside, a tightening in the chest, a feeling of frustration, a quiet thought that says, "Why won't they listen?" At first glance, this seems reasonable. After all, you only want to help. But Buddhist teachings invite us to look deeper. Beneath the desire to help often hides another desire, the desire to be recognized, to be acknowledged, to be seen as wise, to be right. This attachment is known as mana, the attachment to self-importance. Now, this doesn't mean you're arrogant. Most people aren't. The ego is often much more subtle. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. It says, "If they reject my advice, maybe they are rejecting me. If they don't value my opinion, maybe I no longer matter." And this is where suffering begins. Imagine a calm lake. Does the lake need anyone to admire it in order to be water? Does it need applause, validation, recognition? Of course not. It simply exists, still, complete. Wool. In the same way, your value does not depend on whether others agree with you. Your wisdom remains wisdom, even when it is ignored. Your experience remains meaningful, even when no one asks for it. There is a profound freedom in no longer needing to win every conversation, no longer needing to prove your point. no longer needing the final word. The next time disagreement appears, pause for a moment. Ask yourself a simple question. Every time we replay the memory, every time we imagine what we should have said, every time we reopen the old wound, the first arrow may have struck years ago. But the second arrow can continue striking every day. Many people spend years living in rooms that no longer exist. Rhythms built from old memories, old conversations, old injuries. Yet life keeps happening outside those rooms. The sun continues rising, birds continue singing, new possibility continue appearing. But we remain trapped in yesterday. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. People think forgiveness means saying, what happened was acceptable. It does not. Forgiveness does not excuse harmful behavior. Forgiveness simply means refusing to continue carrying the poison. It means deciding that your future deserves more attention than your past. And perhaps tonight, there is someone you need to forgive, not because they earned it, not because they deserve it, but because your heart deserves rest, because your body deserves peace, because you deserve freedom. And freedom begins the moment you stop reopening a wound that time has already tried to heal. Take a slow breath. Notice what old story you keep returning to, and gently remind yourself, that happened then, but I am here now, alive, breathing, present, and this moment deserves my attention more than any memory ever could. The third thing to release is the worry you mistake for love. Many caring people carry this burden without realizing it. Parents worry about their children. Grandparents worry about their grandchildren. Partners worry about one another. We tell ourselves that worry is proof of love. That if we stop worrying, we stop caring. But is that really true? Think about someone you deeply love. How much time have you spent imagining things that might go wrong? Perhaps you worry about their health, their finances, their relationships, their future. Sometimes these thoughts arrive before breakfast. Sometimes they keep you awake at night. And because they come from love, they seem noble, responsible, necessary. Yet Buddhist wisdom asks a difficult question. Has all that worrying actually protected the people you love? Or has it mostly exhausted you? The truth is that worry and love are not the same thing. Love says, I am here for you. Worry says, I need to control what happens to you. Love offers support. Do that, and then release the rest, because carrying the weight of the entire future has never been your responsibility. Loathe deeply, care sincerely. But do not confuse endless anxiety with devotion. Your loved ones need your presence more than they need your fear. The fourth thing to release is the role you forgot to put down. For many years, perhaps even decades, you played an important role. You were the provider, the caretaker, the protector, the problem solver, the person everyone depended on. And because these roles were meaningful, they became part of your identity. You woke up each day knowing exactly who you were. People needed you. Life required you. Your role gave structure to your existence. But life changes, children grow up, families evolve, retirement arrives, circumstances shift. And sometimes, without warning, the role that once defined you is no longer needed in the same way. Yet many people continue performing long after the play has ended. They continue managing, controlling, interfering, not because others need them, but because they fear what remains when the role disappears. Who am I if nobody needs me? Who am I if I am no longer responsible for everyone? Who am I without this identity? These questions can feel frightening, but Buddhism teaches that suffering often arises when we cling to something that has already changed. Imagine an actor standing alone on an empty stage. The audience has gone home, the lights have been turned off, the other actors have left, yet he continues speaking his lines, repeating the same performance, hoping the play will somehow continue. Many of us do the same thing in life. We hold on to old versions of ourselves, long after they have served their purpose, not because they are still true, but because they feel familiar. The invitation is not to abandon responsibility. It is to recognize when a season has ended, and to enter the next one with grace. You are more than the roles you have played, more than your job, more than your title, more than your responsibilities. Those things were chapters, not the entire book. Perhaps there is a dream you postponed, a hobby you abandoned, a curiosity you never explored. Perhaps there is a quieter version of yourself, waiting patiently beneath all those old identities. You are allowed to meet that person. You are allowed to discover who you are beyond what you do for others. And that is not selfish. It is a return to wholeness. The fifth thing to release is treating your body like an enemy. As the years pass, many people find themselves fighting against reality. The mirror changes, the joints ache. Energy comes and goes. The body no longer moves with the same ease it once did. And somewhere inside, frustration begins to grow. Why is this happening? Why can't I do what I used to do? Why is my body betraying me? Yet the body is not betraying you. It is simply doing what bodies have always done. It is changing, acting, adapting, following the natural rhythm of life. The Buddha taught that suffering often comes from resisting what already is. Pain may be unavoidable. Resistance is optional. Imagine a gardener in autumn. The leaves begin falling. The air grows colder. The garden looks different than it did in spring. Would the gardener become angry at the season? Would he demand strawberries in winter? Would he shout at the trees for losing their leaves? Of course not. He understands that every season has its own beauty, its own purpose, its own wisdom. Yet many people speak to their bodies with a harshness they would never use toward a friend. They criticize, judge, condemn, demand, and all the while, the body continues carrying them through each day, breathing, healing, enduring, doing its best. Acceptance does not mean giving up. Acceptance does not mean neglecting your health. It means caring for yourself from a place of kindness instead of war. It means exercising because you love your body, not because you hate it. It means resting when rest is needed, eating with awareness, moving with gratitude, listening instead of fighting. Your body has been your companion since the day you arrived in this world. It has carried your joys, your sorrows, your victories, your losses, and one day, when your journey is complete, it will gently return to the earth. Until then, perhaps it deserves your compassion, not your criticism, your appreciation, not your anger, because peace begins the moment you stop demanding that reality becomes something other than what it already is. The sixth thing to release is the person you forgot to come back for. There is someone many people abandon without ever realizing it. Not a friend, not a partner, not a family member. The person they leave behind is themselves. For years, perhaps decades, your attention has been focused outward. You cared for children, supported loved ones, worked long hours, solved problems, met responsibilities. You became so skilled at caring for everyone else that eventually you forgot to ask a simple question. What do I need? What brings me joy? What nourishes my spirit? For many people, these questions feel uncomfortable, even selfish. Some feel guilty for taking time for themselves. Others don't even know how they would answer. Their internal compass has pointed toward everyone else's needs for so long that they no longer recognize their own direction. But Buddhist wisdom teaches the practice of loving kindness, metta, and contrary to what many believe, loving kindness does not begin with strangers. It does not even begin with family. It begins within, because you cannot pour water from an empty cup. You cannot continuously offer compassion while refusing to receive any yourself. Imagine carrying a lantern through a dark forest. You use its light to guide others, to help them find their way, to protect them from danger. But eventually the oil runs low, the flame grows weaker, and still you refuse to refill it. Not because you don't know how, but because you believe everyone else is more important. Soon the lantern goes out, and then nobody benefits, not you, not them. This is why caring for yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. The truth is that you matter too. Not because of what you accomplish, not because of what you provide, not because of what you do for others. You matter because you are alive, because you are human, because your heart deserves the same kindness you freely offer everyone else. Perhaps reconnecting with yourself does not require a dramatic change. Perhaps it begins with something small. 20 quiet minutes in the morning, a walk without a destination, a book you once loved, a cup of tea enjoyed slowly, a sunset watched without distraction. Moments that seem insignificant, yet these moments are often where we rediscover ourselves. Life moves quickly, years disappear, responsibilities come and go, but somewhere beneath all the noise, your true self has been waiting patiently. Not angry, not resentful, simply waiting for you to come home. And maybe tonight is a good place to begin. The seventh and final thing to release is the peace you keep saving for someday. This may be the most common habit of all. Many people spend their lives postponing peace. They tell themselves, when things settle down, I'll finally relax. When my finances improve, I'll find balance. When the children are older, I'll focus on myself. When life becomes easier, I'll start meditating. When everything is fixed, then I'll be at peace. But there is a problem with this plan. Life never stops moving. There is always another challenge, another responsibility, another uncertainty, another reason to postpone happiness. The mind creates an imaginary future where everything will finally be perfect. Yet that future never arrives, because perfection was never the requirement for peace. The Buddha's teachings consistently return to one simple truth. This moment is life, not tomorrow, not next year, not someday. Now, the breath entering your lungs right now, the sounds around you right now, the beating of your heart right now. This is where life is happening. Many people wait for silence before they choose peace, but silence may never come. There will always be noise, distractions, unexpected problems, difficult emotions. The invitation is not to wait for a perfect environment. The invitation is to discover stillness in the middle of imperfection. Imagine standing beside the ocean. The waves never stop. They rise, they crash, they retreat, again and again. You could spend your entire life waiting for the ocean to become perfectly still. Or you could learn to appreciate the ocean exactly as it is. The mind is much the same. Thoughts come, thoughts go, some pleasant, some uncomfortable, some peaceful, some chaotic. Peace is not the absence of waves. Peace is learning that you are not the waves. You are the awareness observing them. And perhaps that journey begins with 5 quiet minutes tomorrow morning. Nothing complicated, nothing mystical, simply sitting, breathing, being present, allowing yourself to experience life exactly as it is. Not fixing, not controlling, not achieving, just being. Because the day called someday does not exist on any calendar. There is only today, only this breath, only this moment. And this moment is enough. As we come to the end of our time together, take another slow breath. Allow your shoulders to soften. Allow your jaw to relax. Allow your mind to become still for just a moment. Tonight we explored 7 things that may no longer belong in your life. The need to always be right. Old wounds that keep calling you backward. Worry disguised as love. Roles that have already served their purpose. Resistance toward the natural changes of the body. The self you forgot to care for. And the peace you continue postponing until someday. None of these burdens make you weak. None of them make you flawed. They are simply old habits, old protections, old strategies that once helped you survive. And for that, they deserve gratitude. But not permanence. The tree does not hate its leaves when autumn arrives. It simply lets them go. The river does not cling to the water that has already passed. It keeps flowing. Nature understands something that humans often forget. Holding on is not always strength. Sometimes strength is trusting enough to release. Perhaps you will not let go of everything tonight, and that is perfectly okay. You do not need to change your entire life before morning. You do not need to become a different person. Simply choose one thing, one burden, one old story, one habit, one fear, and place it down gently, just for tonight. Then notice how it feels. Notice the space that appears. Notice the lightness. Notice the peace that was waiting underneath all along. Because peace was never far away. It was never hidden. It was never reserved for someone wiser, stronger, or more spiritual than you. It has always been here, patiently waiting beneath everything you are carrying. Thank you for spending this time with me. May your heart be lighter. May your mind be calmer. May your days be gentler. And may you remember again and again that peace begins not when life changes, but when you stop carrying what no longer belongs to you. Until next time, be well, be present, and be at peace.